weapons of mass destruction coordination element with numerous assignments both stateside and overseas, including deployments to Bosnia and Iraq. He's always had a passion for volunteering, ranging from coaching Little League sports to doing work for several nationally recognized veteran service organizations. Upon retirement, Mr. Dennis worked in higher education, assisting thousands of veterans and service members, their family members to earn college degrees, culminating as a vice president for military veterans affairs at Bryant and Stratton College. He transitioned from higher education to the nonprofit sector in 2024 and currently works as the executive director for the Andy Quattlebaum and Blackwell Family Foundation in a rewarding position that allows him to pursue his passion for serving others. Mr. Dennis is a Sergeant Morales Club member and a graduate of numerous Army schools, including the Logistics Officer Advanced Course, Officer Candidate School, Explosive Ordnance Disposal School, and Air Assault School. His awards include the Bronze Star, Meritorious Service Medal, 3 Oak Leaf Clusters, Army Commendation Medal with 5 Oak Leaf Clusters, Valorous Unit Award, Army Superior Unit Award, Armed Forces Expedition Medal, and Iraq Campaign Medal. He's divorced with 2 children, Eddie and Kaylee, and his dog Milo. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Ed Dennis.
Can you hear me without the microphone?
Yes, sir.
In the back, raise your hands if you can hear me. Thank you. This is a hard act to follow. I'm between you and the cake, right? So, in all seriousness, I thought about this a lot, which surprises me because I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good at talking to people. At least I think I am. But, so I put a lot of thought into this. And what I want to talk to you about this evening is personal beliefs, Army values, and leadership. But before I get started, I'd like to thank President Stout, Lieutenant Colonel Badley, the cadre from your ROTC program, the recruiters that are here, and the cadets that are here. It's very humbling to be invited to come here. So hopefully I do good. If I don't, somebody raise your hand and tell me I'm boring. But from what I understand out there, it's really hard to be worse than the guy last year. I'm not going to say who told me that, but it was more than one. All right, so this evening I'm going to share some thoughts with you. First thing is, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, who are you and what's important to you? Have you ever thought about that? It's a two-way conversation. Help me out here. Has anybody ever thought about that?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay, thank you. Your identity isn't the rank or the position that you hold. It's who you are and who your values, or what your values are, right? And a lot of people miss that. But I would tell you, just be humble and think about those sometimes. I'm going to share something with you that I wrote real quickly. If I had to tell you what my personal, values are, my mission statement on values, I'd say I'm a loyal person of integrity who treats everyone fairly and how I want to be treated. I always do my best and will choose the hard right over the easy and wrong, even if it may harm me professionally or personally. Right? And there's my cousins, they're shaking their head, they know that's who I am. It might have hurt me a couple times, don't worry about it. So I'm going to share a story with you real quick. So when I deployed to Iraq, I was the EOD company commander. I deployed to the Sunni Triangle. I commanded the first EOD company in the Sunni Triangle to not have a casualty, which is pretty significant because the Sunni Triangle was bad, trust me, in 2004. It was not nice. In doing that, I talked to my guys. EOD company, we're small, we're agile. And what I told them was, 3 things. I was like, I don't care what you do, what decisions you make, as long as you don't violate a law, a value, or a regulation. And I always stood behind them. Now, don't get me wrong, a couple times that wasn't good. But they made decisions. I was out on missions with them a lot of times. I defused IEDs with them. I wasn't always there. And even when I was there with them, I never once second-guessed the team leader on site. I let him make his decision. And they went through. Because of that, I think they made decisions that were smart. I read all the reports, the EOD post-blast reports, on EOD soldiers that died in Iraq at the time. And in every single one, and most of them, they died because they were trying to collect intelligence information. You know, they had pressure from their command to do that. You know, make sure you gather this so we can put in our TTPs and everybody can be safe. Which is true. But there's times when, you know, it's a bad idea. And I had friends that didn't come back because of that. You know, and others that I know. Why do I share that story with you? Because it comes down to values, right? You know, when we were there, we accomplished a lot. You know, but in empowering them, they made decisions. Sometimes I would not agree with them, but I always had their back. And they knew that. So they always did their best, or what they thought was best at the moment. You know, I share that with you because you're going to go out there, you're going to make decisions. You know, think about what you're doing and what you decide on. You know, if you're honestly doing the best that you can do, and somebody second guesses you or doubts you, you can always look in the mirror and respect yourself, right? So I think I can attribute, I believe, that, you know, we all made it back because of that. And I'll share these numbers, and I never figured it out before today. 100% of my unit was involved in enemy contact. 27% of my unit received injuries from enemy fire. 27% were put in for medals for valor. 72% of my unit received Bronze Stars. All of them came back. So here's my challenge to you as cadets, right? Think about your personal value statement. Who are you? And I'm not going to put you on the spot yet, but I will in a minute. You know, just think about who you are. And the reason why, and I should have started with this, is who were you when no one is watching? Think about that. Do you change how you act because of the people that are around you and what they're going to think of you? Or do you act the way you act because of your values and what you believe in? So, in the Army, we had the Army values, right?
Yes, sir.
Leadership. Loyalty. Can somebody tell me what loyalty means to you? I know I caught a couple of you out there. Somebody raise your hand. Shay, help me out. Loyalty.
Being able to count on the person to your left and right.
Okay. What's the next one? Duty. Somebody help me out. When you hear duty, what do you think of when you hear duty?
Doing what you gotta do.
Help me out. I am looking at you.
Duty is doing what you are, doing everything you're required to do when you're required to do it and how you're required to do it. Sometimes that's painful and sometimes that's not fun, but if you are slated to do something, you need to do it.
Okay, very good. I like that. What about respect? Somebody in the back, help me out so I know you can hear me. Treating someone the way they want to be treated. Treat people the way you want to be treated. These aren't trick questions. I'm just asking you all. Like, I'm curious. So what's after respect? Self-service, right? What does that mean to you? Somebody different.
Looking out for other people.
Okay, looking out for other people. I like that. What about honor? Help me out. Honor. What does that make you think? You're stuck in the front row. I'm sorry.
Bring yourself at a high standard to others.
Your standards. Honoring other people and honoring yourself, right? Integrity. And this is my favorite one. Because if you lose integrity, you will never get it back. Ever. What does integrity mean to you? Either I'm really good or I'm boring you because everybody's quiet.
Be truthful, and that's different than always telling the truth.
Be truthful. Be honest to yourself and others, right? Integrity. What about personal courage?
Being brave.
Being brave. And there's two kinds, right? There's moral and physical courage. What's the difference between the two? Hey, I'm sorry, man. You've been helping me out. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Somebody help me out. Physical courage. What does that mean?
That's your response to the action in the moment. That's your physical bodily response
Yeah.
to something.
You're scared, right? Who's afraid of heights? I am. That doesn't mean I won't climb on tall things and rappel out of helicopters, right? What about moral courage? What does moral courage mean to you? And I'll let you think about that for a second. So, here's a question for you. Do you think that the Army values, do they ever conflict with each other? Why don't they conflict with each other? I'm gonna put you on the spot, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Why don't they?
All right, you go for it. Let me ask you a question. We talked about duty and loyalty. Can they ever conflict with each other? What about when your friend does something stupid and you see it, but your duty is to report it? That's a conflict. That's a moral conflict, right? Why do I ask you these things? Because real leadership means navigating hard choices, right? You're all going to have them. You're all going to be challenged, one way or the other. There's no way around it. You know, in the story that I shared with you about Iraq, I had conflicting values. My chain of command wanted me to push my guys to grab intel. But I wanted to make sure my guys got back and they were still around to do the mission the next day. Because there's only so many EOD guys and gals. You can't make them overnight either. It takes years. You know, when they would go to ID responses, sometimes they just didn't feel right. I had one, and I'm going completely off what I was thinking about. One of my guys, he retired as a Command Sergeant Major, Darrell Williams. I laughed at him when I saw the video. We all laughed at him. He was down there, he was on MSR Tampa, Sunni Triangle. There were 3 different groups actively targeting him. He was trying to protect the roadway, right? Duty. We wanted to protect the infrastructure, the MSR. We don't want blast holes in it. So he's got a South African 155 round that he picks up. In case you don't know, they're big. They're real big. He's got a South African 155 round he picks up to move off the MSR to dispose of it. Insurgents had watched him and they had timed him. They kind of knew how long it took. He's carrying it, and I'm watching the video. He throws it on the ground. He pulls out a block of C4, pulls it, and he's tripping, running away. And you can hear his team member laughing. He's videotaping him. We all laughed at him. I asked him, what happened? Sir, I'm walking and I heard it ticking. They put a mechanical device inside the round to try and blow him up. So guess what? There were holes in MSR Tampa after that because he wasn't carrying any more of them. You know, I didn't doubt him. You know, a couple other times there were things that happened. And I'll be honest with you, there were times I didn't agree with the decision they made. There were times I was with them and I didn't agree with the decision they made. But I never second guessed them. It's easy to armchair quarterback somebody, and we would get it all the time. I provided top cover for them. So I had loyalty to the guys for me. They worked for me. And my duty was to be the best commander I could be. Did that cause problems? It did. You know, my battalion commander didn't like that too much. He would tell everybody I was the best commander in the battalion, but he didn't like that because he was pushed by a division to gather more intel. Why do I share that story with you? Because loyalty to your subordinates and supervisors, owning and enforcing orders, or supporting your subordinates when you disagree earns respect. This can be difficult, but remember, never complain down and always complain up. So my guys never knew the pressure that I was getting. And when I complained, I would complain to my supervisor. And this is a very important point for all of y'all. I hope somebody takes it away. Never complain down. Because when you do, they won't respect you anymore. You'll never recover from that one. So yeah, conflicting values. They're the moments that define you as a leader. I can encourage you to lean on your values and, you know, do all these things. But I will tell you this, you need to think about what your values are and what kind of leader you're going to be. not every leader is the same. You know, some are more worried about their OER, to be honest with you. Some are more worried about their soldiers. Some are more worried about being liked. But look at your values and what you bring to the table and how that's going to fit in when you get to your units. And find your niche in there. And own it, right? Because if you have your personal mission statement, it's easy to follow. It really is, if you know who you are. That doesn't mean there's not going to be hard choices in there. There's going to be hard choices if you have subpar values because you're trying to always show a different side of you and you have to keep that up. Or if you have high values and you're ethical, there's going to be conflicts. You're going to have to navigate those. Just always make the best decision that you can make when you do it. And own the decision. Don't ever second guess yourself. That doesn't mean you don't take those lessons and go back and improve later, but don't ever second guess yourself. Everybody makes mistakes. You know, and on that, I would say don't crush your subordinates for a mistake. Some of them are unforgivable, but there's others that aren't. That's a moment for you to rise as a leader and earn their respect and develop that camaraderie in your unit and those below you. And you'll get the respect of your peers and your supervisors as well. So there's, you know, you hear the thing, you probably heard it, right? What's the difference between a leader and a manager? Anybody help me out? I'm either really, really boring or you're listening to me. I hope I'm not that boring, so I'll hurry up. A leader inspires the people around them. Their supervisors, their peers, their subordinates. A manager directs everybody what to do. Nobody really likes a manager. They don't respect him. And I will tell you, if you're a very effective leader, you can influence your supervisors to get the decision you want. And here's another nugget for you. You can have your subordinates think they made the decision when you give them options to choose from. But you know which one you want. It doesn't matter. You agree to all of them. But they feel like they have the buy-in on the decision. And they do. They get to pick the way they're going to do it. So, what kind of leader do you want to be? You know, what are your values? And I would say to each one of you, if you haven't done it, think about it. What is your 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plans in life? Some of you are going to go in the military and active duty, some of you won't. Leadership's the same no matter where you go. Whether you're in the private sector or in the military, you either inspire people around you and empower them, or you don't. There's no two ways about it. So, you know, think about who you are and develop your mission statement and just live by it. You know, that doesn't mean it won't change over time. Probably will. You know, be compassionate. You know, there's one thing that I was always consistent with as an NCO, as an officer. I had high standards and I held people accountable for their decisions. Good decisions and bad. They owned all of them. I owned my decisions. I made poor decisions, everybody does. I owned all of them, good and bad. So, I'm going to share a story with you when I deployed to Bosnia. I was a staff sergeant. I'd already been picked up for OCS. I volunteered to go because I didn't want to be left behind. My packet was going to the E7 board. Good chance I was going to make E7 that year. I was in the first couple hundred there, and none of you remember any of this, so I'll just try to truncate it a little bit, right? I was in the first couple hundred there. When we crossed the Sava River into Bosnia, you know, that was a big concern because they were still fighting until we got there. You know, my squad got tagged to be a squad plus and set up a checkpoint because I was a military policeman. And thank goodness somebody figured out it was a dumb idea. You know, you have two warring armies that have been killing each other for years, and they want to put us in the middle. Got canceled. But in having a squad plus, I had a PFC Seed Graves was assigned to me to supplement my squad. So we're out on missions for a couple days. We come back, we clean our weapons, we do all this stuff. The other squads didn't do it. And I'm cleaning an M60 with them because it's humid and everything's starting to rust. He just looks at me, he's like, Sergeant Dennis, I hate being here with you. He's like, but I know if something happens, I'll be all right. Well, they cancel our mission. Next day, his squad leader gets an easy mission. I get the hard one. All he had to do was route signs. He made a wrong turn. First casualty in Bosnia was that squad. So I had to go on the recovery mission, picked up PFCC graves. Fortunately, he wasn't a casualty. It was Bashaw, Specialist Bashaw. Why do I share that story with you? Live up to your own standards. Lead by example. Right? Don't ask somebody to do something you wouldn't do yourself. And don't get me wrong, we were tired. We only get like 3 or 4 hours sleep a night. We were tired. But we had high standards and we lived up to them. You know, just take that with you and use it if you will. Compassion and accountability. You have to have both. You can't have one without the other and think you're going to be successful. You know, I put a note here, and it's kind of true. Real leaders deliver the hard truth. You know, when somebody does something right or wrong, hold them accountable. And sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation to look somebody in the eye and tell them they're wrong. But that's where your values come in, and who are you? Your personal mission statement. So, I have a couple of messages for you that I wrote down. It's never too early or too late to develop your values and your mindset. You know, really, I challenge you. Think about it. You know, who are you? What do you want to accomplish in life? Be the captain of your own ship. You know, things are going to happen that you don't have control of, but how you react to it, you control. Learn from your mistakes. Everybody makes them. You know, in conclusion, I'd just like to thank everybody for the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. I'm really humbled to be asked. It was an honor to talk to you. I hope that some of the thoughts that I shared with you resonate with some of you. And you really think about it. And just go home, back to where you're staying, and think about it over the weekend or whatever. Think about who you are and what's important to you. Don't look for mentors when you're in the Army or anywhere else. They will find you. And if they're not finding you, look in the mirror and ask why. I had one of my mentors told me one time, because I turned down being an aide de camp a bunch of times. Never wanted to be one. He says, Ed, it's good to be the person with the choices instead of the one being told where to go. If you don't have mentors finding you, you're the one being told where to go because you're not standing out. That's a hard truth. I hope that some of the thoughts I shared with you, resonated and they help you out. I just have a couple finer words. And these are things that I learned a long time ago. Leadership is like a piece of string. If you lead it from the front and pull it, it falls in line behind you. If you try to push from behind, you get a big knot. It never works. You can learn something from everyone. Your supervisors, your peers, your subordinates, you can learn from all of them. I will tell you, unfortunately, I learned more from the horrible leaders that I worked for than anyone else. I learned what not to do, right? The ones who were really good leaders, they made it look effortless. You don't even realize what they're doing. So you won't pick up on those, but look for them. So a friend of mine, Major General Gronsky, amazing guy. He wrote a couple books. All the cadets, you should have received one tonight, right?
Sir.
If you look in the front, he signed all of them. I didn't know that until I pulled them out today. So I'll tell you, General Gronsky, Pennsylvania National Guard, deployed to Iraq. He was in Fallujah during the battle, brigade commander. Came back, he was selected, he's already a one-star general, and there was a brigade that was going somewhere. Their brigade commander didn't pass SRP. He went down to an 06 position as a one-star general to be the brigade commander. He retired after being a division commander. Very selfless servant, right? And I will tell you, he epitomizes being a servant leader, right? It's the little things. So I didn't know he signed your books until I looked at him today, and then I called him up. I'm like, John, thank you so much for signing their books. It's those little things that let your soldiers know that you care about them. And it doesn't cost you anything but time. So, in closing, I would like to say, don't be afraid to thank those who made you successful. Right? Always give, due respect to those folks that are around you. So, I'd like to thank my mother for giving me the values and work ethic that I have. Without that, I would have never been able to do what I do. The soldiers and leaders that I had the privilege of serving with, because I learned a lot of stuff from them. And then finally, God for putting me in challenging positions in my life and the strength to overcome them and become a better person. So thank you all very much for your time. I really do appreciate being here and talking to you tonight.